Hey friends, Jeff, this is Around the Circle. I'm here with Abby Howe. Abby is an Enneagram coach, and she has a YouTube channel, which I heard has had a couple of views.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Abby, you're a new mom.
Yeah.
And an Enneagram 3.
Yeah.
I am married to a 3 and have watched and had my own experience of having a child and having that child dash all of my ideals and watching my wife have to adjust to being a new mom. What's been the biggest thing you've learned about your 3-ness in becoming a mom?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, I think it's ever evolving because I'm learning every day, but really I had like a death of myself this year, like for sure. Like postpartum was like a huge shift for me, especially just in terms of like, well, I don't know how it was for your wife, but I work as well. So like my husband and I both work. And so I really had to scale back work just to focus on baby, obviously. And I entered a 3-month maternity leave. And then once baby was here, I had these expectations of like how work was going to go. And that was silly. I was like, I'll just put him in a carrier and just like type on my computer. It was like, Abby,
Isn't that how that works?
That was not how it went. And I also, we don't have a very good sleeper. So the sleep deprivation was just crazy. And it really kind of broke me down into like just the necessities of like, keep your child alive, love your child, keep yourself alive. So like the priorities like that I used to have, like, you know, working till 10, 11 at night, like being so selfish with my time, like all of that was stripped away. And it was just like, yeah, just the survival of me and my sweet baby boy. And just kind of coming to terms with like, okay, my life won't ever look the same. And I tell me if your wife also experienced this, but like I've actually had like a lot more grace for myself than I ever had in my life. Like not tying my worth to my productivity because it's like I suddenly cannot. Like it's more of like I'm so future focused that this has made me really stick to the present. And just focus on the next moment, like what's happening right now. Yeah, sorry if that's convoluted. I don't know. It's hard to put into words.
It's a stellar answer. And that was our experience. The babies in our experience, especially 1 and 3 that we are, and very action oriented, were specially designed to target every selfish impulse we had and bend them entirely to the will of this new one. And so I'm resonating quite a bit with everything you're saying. And so too, the exposure that takes place, not tying your worth to production and forcing you to be present, is both it's a blessing and a curse and all the things, but it's that was our experience as well. So yeah. It's lovely way to say that. I don't know anything about your Enneagram story. How'd you come to this thing anyway?
Yeah. So I had initially been introduced to it by a roommate, I think like a decade ago. And she had Russ Hudson's book and Richard Rohr's book. And she like was so into it. And I was like, this is weird. Like, it was just like, this is a giant book. I was just like busy doing my own thing, you know? She thought I was an 8 just from, so she had like diagnosed me as an 8. Mm-hmm. And so, but I wasn't into it. I just like, I was like, that book's too big. Like, I don't want to read that right now. I don't have time. And then a few years later, I won an Instagram giveaway by Ivy Press. They were giving away the Road Back to You. And they sent that to me. And so I read it and it blew my mind. I got to the chapter on Enneagram threes and I just started weeping. And I'm like, just until I was a mom, now I cry all the time, but like until I was a mom, like I'm not a crier. Like I don't need to feel the icky emotions. I'd rather not. Like, so it touched something in me. I saw parts of myself out loud, basically, that I hadn't ever thought about. And it made a lot of my life make sense. A lot of like my relationship with my parents and my relationship to my work. And yeah, it really blew my mind. So I, at the time, was making sketch comedy videos. I was in LA doing acting and commercials and stuff like that. And so I had a YouTube channel on the side of like, oh, I just make things that I'm interested in. So I started making videos on the Enneagram because it was so fascinating to me. And it touched a nerve with other people. And so I started connecting with other Enneagram interested people online. And it was just really life-giving. So eventually I decided to get certified as a coach and pursued this as a full-time job of teaching corporate workshops and teaching people because yeah, it made such a big impact in my life that I never could have like planned this. Like it was just kind of a random road to go down. Like if you had told me like 20 years ago that's what I'd be doing and loving with my life, I would have been like shocked. But yeah, so it's like I kind of fell into it and it hooked me. And then I was like, I have to learn more. I have to know more because it just was so life-changing for me personally.
That's excellent. That coming to your work, that's what I was most interested in. For those of you who don't know, Abby's videos have gotten millions of views. I'm really curious about the interactions you've had with those who've seen your material, and like, what are some highlights, or what? I don't know. I assume you may have gotten lots of feedback that it's like a wave kind of hitting you, given the amount of consumption of your material. But what's been your experience there?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think I get a lot of criticism as anyone who's online does.
Mm-hmm.
But the overwhelming majority is really thoughtful conversation. A lot of people being like, oh my God, that's me, or that makes sense, or that's my husband. Um, and then, yeah, I've found on the whole the Enneagram community or people interested in the Enneagram to be just really thoughtful people wanting to
Mm.
just learn more about themselves. And yeah, I sometimes in my notes app on my phone, I keep emails and comments I get that are encouraging to me and kind of remind me like why I do this. So sometimes I get discouraged or I'm just tired and I'll look at them and be like, okay, yeah, which is a very three thing I'm realizing of like, let me look for the affirmation from other people to like encourage me to keep going. But yeah, I guess and then with like more negative comments and stuff like that, if I feel like they're warranted, I'll take them into consideration. And if they're just like mean comments about like my appearance, then I try to block that out.
Are people occasionally mean on the internet? I haven't heard of this. Is this a thing?
It's this wild
The
phenomenon.
so I've been doing quite a bit of work recently on mistyping and typing, just thinking about that process of what does it look like to discover your type. Real value that work that yours does, you just pointed out, it's when people can have a "that's me, that's my partner" experience. That's that's not easy to manufacture.
Hmm.
That takes real doing. The more that I get into this, the more that I know about Enneagram, I'm like getting somebody to see themselves in the system is terribly difficult work. And so if you're consistently having that experience of folks communicating that they're seeing themselves through your work. That seems to me on its face to be really extraordinary a service.
That's very sweet to say. I hadn't thought about it like that. I think I'm just sensitive to the fact that on the front facing end of my Enneagram content, there can be a lot of stereotypes of the types. And so I, like, when I'm talking to Enneagram people like you, I feel less than, because I'm like, oh man, like I feel bad. I'm like, I promise I'm not perpetuating stereotypes. Like, I'm really just trying to provide like a fun entry point to the Enneagram, and create deeper connections once you're kind of like into it and in through the gate. I think of myself as like a gateway drug to the Enneagram, and then I go deeper in like my longer form content and my Substack. But it has been really fun, like acting out the 9 types and like kind of trying to get into the head of each type and what that might feel like and what that might look like, especially like doing ones where the types are having conversations with themselves, like an 8 and a 2, and what that might feel like. Like that to me is like is fun and really interesting.
Well, may I say, on behalf of all the snotty, narcissistic, overly self-important Enneagram nerds out there who have criticized you on the just having fun with it side of things, we're sorry. It's we can't help ourselves sometimes.
Look,
It's-
I'm so, I see it all, and I understand. I am having fun, and I also think the Enneagram is impactful and useful and all of that as well.
I think there is for there's a tendency, especially if you hit that nerve of the Enneagram's really doing some work on me, to then pivot and say, some of the other content created around it is valueless. But again, if people are actually typing and getting an entry point through your work, that's in my experience, I've been doing this for 7 years now. It's so difficult to do. And so well done. So cheers at least from my section of the room. We had talked briefly about your interest in relationships, and you actually just mentioned it. When talking about dating, marriage, chemistry between the types, what are some of the things that stand out to you first? Like where do you begin when thinking about overlap there?
Well, I mean, mostly it stands out to me just in my husband and I's relationship, because I get like daily reminders of what it's like for a 3 and a 4 to be married, and kind of how our overlap and our differences, like and I'm kind of embarrassed to share this, but whatever. The other day so my husband and I both work from home, and we don't live by family, and we don't have a ton of childcare. So if one of us is working, the other is watching our son. So there's just a lot of like, not a lot of together family time, and there's a lot of juggling going on of like, I have this call, I have like, can you. So I had just had a really work heavy day. I had like 3 calls in a row, and John didn't get a lot of time to work that day, and he had some stuff to work on. And I said, I am so sorry. Like, I really want you to have time to work. I want you to be happy. And he said, I don't work to be happy. He's like, it doesn't make me happy. I'm just doing it to take care of my family. And I felt so weird, because I was like, whoa, like I'm like, I know I work to be happy, but like just the fact that I just said that out loud, like, I want you to be happy, like immediately equating it to happiness, I think it just stuck with me. I was like, oh, we're really seeing life through a different lens. / also, I have so much work to do on still on my attitude towards like work and my worth. And that's I feel like gonna be an ever evolving thing. But yeah, just like, I guess in more general terms, like I just think it's fascinating to hear relationship dynamics. Like I'm curious to know what it's like being married to a 3 as a 1. Like, what does that look like for you guys?
Well, of all things, that self-assessment and what makes me happy in terms of you saying accomplishments and what I'm hearing in your husband's language is the relational dynamic. Really important to name in terms of what are the targets for us. So I likewise can gain a lot of my fulfillment from accomplishments. And so the doing really matters to me in terms of self-assessment. And so that 1-3, ones and threes when paired can have that, power couple kind of energy to them. Like we're going to go build a bunch of stuff and do all the things together. And so that can be both very valuable. It also can, it obviously can become an obstacle to us. But I've heard some folks recently saying that ones and threes don't get along very well. I love threes. I love working with threes. The energy of threes gives me something to respond to. So reactive type that I am, I just feed off of the even when there's a spin taking place that can take place for threes in terms of their sense of self and the sense of the world around us. Like I'm here for it. I'm overly self-critical. So give me all the good vibes and positive interpretations, and that you got, because I will feast on them. But on the flip side, like as we're talking, like it has shocked me in the last 15 minutes how vulnerable, honest, forthright you're coming to the world. And it seems like it's coming out a lot out of this experience of being a new mom. And that also is something that when threes become honest, you can see it, and it's a depthier kind of self-revelation. Are you experiencing, you kind of said this, that you're moving more into that present space. Are you learning a lot about your threeness in that space?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, again, I feel like I died. And like, it's like I'm 1 year old again, and just like learning how to be Abby as this new born version of me. And like, and part of it, I think, is physical. It's just like you strip away sleep and time for yourself. And what's left is kind of like the core of who you are. And you're just like, all the raw parts of yourself are just there, and all the ugliness, and beautiful things too. Like, I mean, I'm really proud of myself. This has been really hard year. My son's 11 months now, so he'll be a year old on December 5th. And
how old are you? I'm sorry.
I'm 33. Yeah, so first kid, maybe a second one. I don't know. Time will tell. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I got a story about so our first kid is on the spectrum, and we had our first kid and got pregnant like just a few months after
The first
child
one?
was born. But I kept forgetting that my wife was pregnant, and I would actually start statements with, maybe we should just have one. Oh, never mind. No, we got another one on the way. And like, I was so sleep deprived and having such struggles that I forgot that we were pregnant with a second child.
Whoa, you guys, that's crazy. How that must have been really hard on your wife to be pregnant and have a newborn.
Yeah. I can't remember that. Those 3 years I see pictures, and I know this is how this works physiologically. Like, your brain doesn't retain memories when you have that level of exhaustion.
Yeah.
And as it was said, there's something about seeing so much of yourself kind of stripped away, and then refashioning your new self. I didn't really change that much when I got married. I really changed when I had a kid.
So. Oh yeah. It just strips you down completely.
I suppose my perception then is that you did a lot of work that was very successful in terms of your video work. And do you see this more as like a window, or as you're saying that, like, you kind of have died and are moving into this new phase? Are you seeing yourself more as in a different role moving forward?
So, to be honest, I think I'm just now coming out of survival mode.
Yeah.
So, there's not been a lot of reflection in terms of like what I want to do moving forward. So like I'm not there yet. I don't know. I mean, certainly things have changed and will change in the future. I am the best part of my job, and the thing that like makes me most happy, going back to happiness, but is doing workshops with people about the Enneagram, because it's like
Yeah.
it's so, dude, I don't know. I just like it makes me feel alive, and it's so
What do your
fun.
workshops look like?
It depends. If it's like a corporate kind of setting, I don't come from a typical corporate background. I got an acting degree. I went to theater school. Yeah, we do an intro to the Enneagram workshop. There's a lot of videos that I play, like funny videos, and I try to come at the Enneagram, especially in a corporate setting, in a really like lighthearted kind of breath of fresh air way, and then slip in like the hard stuff, because it's hard entry point if you're like, oh man, my boss is making me go to this learning and development thing for 2 hours, like. So
Right.
I try to make it as fun as possible, while also, we're getting into like the core weaknesses, and I'm asking questions of, I'm having like, it's like really collaborative. So I want people to be talking and sharing with each other, and in little, breakaway groups, and then with the big group. And, I, yeah. So I try to make it super collaborative. Yeah, I guess, does that answer your question?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, everybody, the the way that folks do events around Enneagram is really interesting to me, because there's not necessarily a formula, and everybody kind of has a different, yeah, just way of approaching things. And just having a teaching background myself, just how you set up the room, what you're focusing on, how are we getting folks from here to there, and what does even there look like, all seem to be really interesting to me. And so just always,
I've had a thought of like, I wonder, like, I wish someone would do like a study or something on like 9 different Enneagram teachers who do similar like things. Like they teach workshops to people like who are just discovering the Enneagram, and like how each type would go about that,
yeah,
Because like
yeah, yeah,
definitely mine's, I would say, performance focused, in terms of like, I've got a lot of jokes that I say. I've memorized, everything that's in my presentation. Everything's like really graphically beautiful. There's I'm entertaining, I would say.
yeah.
And then I just like, I'm sure there's people like, there's a 5 out there just mortified to be in front of a group of people, but so passionate about, I just wonder what does it look like for every type? What would it look like for a 4 to be doing? Like, that is so fascinating to me.
Yeah. There is a book, a friend of mine, Sean Palmer, wrote
Oh,
a book called
I have
Speaking
some
by
of
the
his.
Numbers. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen Speaking
He
by the Numbers.
he did the InterVarsity 3 meditation
That's the one I
guide
have.
thing.
Yeah.
He did a second book with them on public speaking. Worth picking up. Really, it's an excellent book.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Um, and I imagine it'll conform to a lot of your intuitions, especially as 3 speaking to a 3. But it goes along some of those avenues of types and communication and teaching styles, and good stuff there.
okay, so recently I saw, I think it was an email you sent. It was like all my favorite Enneagram books and why. And I loved that because, like, man, like there were some books in there. I don't remember right now off the bat, like what they were, but there were some books I'd never heard of. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, and this is like, so I would just like, I guess my question is like, what is your favorite Enneagram book right now and why?
Yeah. The ones that I'm gonna look behind me because that's where they all are.
Yeah, displayed.
The books that I've enjoyed recently are ones that I'm coming back to, and there's one by Palmer called the Enneagram in Love and Work,
Okay.
and she did just a great study, and it's one of the first studies of just chemistry between the types, and it just still holds up. And so when I like, there's some stuff that's been written years ago that I just need to look at with fresh eyes. Like I kind of devoured everything, when I first got into Enneagram, and I went too fast. And now I have this framework and I'm kind of going back through stuff, and that one stands up real well. The Sacred Enneagram, I think, is really important despite the failings of the author. And those two are important.
Why do you think the Sacred Enneagram is important? Or I guess, yeah, what?
So what Hertz does in that I think is real valuable is he outlines the affect groups, or the harmony triads, 3, 6, 9, 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, in ways that are accessible and has a lot of body. So Dr. David Daniels, who's a Stanford professor, he really focused on those triads, but I don't think his books are good. Sorry, unpopular opinion, but he just doesn't do the work of bringing forth a lot of the colors that he clearly has the expertise to describe. And I'm not trying to speak bad about the dead and their work, but here it does. So I think those triads are underrated. Riso and Hudson do a lot of work on them. Not a lot of work, but they do some work that's complementary. But it's a bummer to me how things have gone for him, because he had so much to offer. So those would be the two. And then there's a third one. There's one called Personality and Wholeness in Therapy, which is another Stanford study through Norton Press, but it was done by 4 or 5 clinical psychologists.
Cool. Yeah.
And that one doesn't have a lot of new content, but it has a lot of science that backs up the content just so often a lot of people in my world are asking for more scientific validation of Enneagram because it sounds woo-woo.
Yeah.
When you come to it. And so to come and say, look, here are the overlaps between Enneagram theory, 9-type theory, and, object relation theory, or, all the other psychological theories is real helpful on that front. So those have been the 3 that have been most valuable to me recently.
Well, thank you for sharing. I don't have any of those, so I will pick them up.
Oh, okay. It's also the case, we talked about relationships, but what's tops on your list?
I like the Enneagram for Black Liberation,
which I haven't read yet, and I need to. I've tried to reach out to them for an interview, and I was kind of setting it aside for that. But what did you like most about that book?
Oh, it just kind of blew my mind a little bit, of like just reimagining the way you look at, how people come to the Enneagram from different backgrounds, and kind of putting it on as armor, the different parts of yourself. And I just think it was really beautifully written. Like, it's a beautiful book.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a good recommendation. I had set that aside, and I should have purchased it anyway and read up on it. So that's a good recommendation.
I like anything Suzanne Stabile writes.
Right.
I think she makes it very approachable, and Yeah, that. Oh, and Jim McPartlin,
I don't know
the
this author.
Enneagram and Work.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called, the Enneagram and Work. But it's like a little blue book. But he's an Enneagram 6, and he worked in the hospitality industry for like 20 years, and just has a lot of interesting insights about, yeah, the types and leadership and work. And I found that to be super helpful.
It's good recommendations. All right. Abby already mentioned it. We were playing 20 questions, which I forgot to state. And so I'm going to flip it for her in terms of you get to be the question asker for a second as we close this out. But what sort of Enneagram things are you thinking of recently?
I have a question that I'm like struggling with. A lot of times in my workshops, I'll have like older people, like in 50s and 60s, and they'll be like, that used to be me, but I've moved past that. I grew past that, and I did that
Yeah.
already. I've worked through it. So like just people who've done a lot of self-work, which obviously is the goal. So my question to you is like, how do you tell the difference between true growth within your type and simply like starting to look like another type? I think I'm confused
Yeah.
about, can growth make your core type hard to recognize?
Yeah.
And then how do you find, like, say you're older and you've worked through that stuff, then how do you find your type if you aren't really struggling with those things anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer those questions.
I think that's an excellent question, and I feel like I'm kind of on an island here recently because I'm very prescriptive. One that I am. I'm very prescriptive about what the target is for growth, because growth isn't just about like what is growth, and for me, growth is about for especially, you're exactly right. Like a lot of the older folks I speak to as well have understood where their Enneagram type can get in the way of their relationships, of being a thriving person, and have done some business with it. And if they've done some business with it they're can look at themselves honestly and self-reflectively and say, I'm really happy with my relationships and how I connect with others. I'm really happy about how I come to the world. I can say that I'm engaging my mind in valuable ways. I'm engaging my emotional core in valuable ways. And I'm really getting into my body in ways that move me forward. If you're there, call it a win. And then, it's not the finish line. That is what the path, happiness isn't a destination. Happiness is a way of being in the world. And that's what it looks like to be a happy person is
Yeah.
in that kind of space. So that's how I go there.
That's a
So
really, yeah, it's like, it's kind of going a little bit wider and saying, well, what's the point of knowing your type in the first place?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would actually bring something up. Like, what is the point? The point is that this is the Enneagram's not a destination. Enneagram's just a tool.
Yeah.
And it's going to help you build your soul. It's going to help you build your heart. It's going to help you, fashion yourself into a happy person. And if it doesn't do that, then get rid of it. It's not useful,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for a lot of us, this was the thing. This was the thing that really helped us get from here to there, and why we're so passionate about it sometimes. So
We're all crazy.
it's why it comes across as a cult is because you're like, holy crap, this was the thing I needed to make, to clarify.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you're right. It's a tool, and whatever tools help you kind of open up that part of yourself that wasn't turned on before and aware before, like, I'll take it.
Exactly.
I need it in my life. So, but again, like it's not the end all be all of who you are as a human. And I think that's where, like, when it starts to become like, this is, who you are as a human, like 100%, like that is, I think, the woo woo stuff that really turns people off, where it's like, hey, like at the end of the day, we're all really complex, and we all feel all of these emotions, and it's So I encourage people to look at it as, yeah, a helpful lens of seeing yourself better. And if it helps you, use it. And if it doesn't, you can throw it out the window. It's fine.
Some of the, just another compliment. I don't know if you like compliments, but I'm going to go there.
I'm a 3. I love compliments.
I know it. It's jokes.
Oh, got it.
One of the things that we need in Enneagram world is the ability to laugh at our foibles, which your work does. It's like, yes, of course, there's stereotypes, but there is something about making something relatable and being able to poke at myself in a way that is self-understanding and gives myself a little bit of grace, like this is just how I'm wired, so that I can do the real work. And I think it's an underrepresented, and again, I feel like, again, kind of snotty academic that I am, I can come to some stuff that's on Instagram and the rest and be like, be dismissive of it. But it does really important work to, at times, to showcasing, look, you have permission to laugh at yourself as you're on this journey, which, because it can be so ossifying. When somebody shows you your heart with the Enneagram, it can beat you up.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It's sucky. Yeah. So I'm like, I find, at least for me, I'm not very academic, like big books and stuff, they freak me out. Like I need lighter entry points for deeper understanding personally. Mm-hmm. So things that are just more approachable or digestible, if people can explain complex concepts to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, that's helpful. Like that's the spectrum. That's the end of the spectrum I'm at the moment, especially now, because I feel like my brain is dead. It doesn't work anymore. So I'm just
mommy mush mind is
serious.
A legitimate thing.
I've had the weirdest interactions this year of just like in stores, just like telling people like things you shouldn't be telling people just because like I'm just like not alive.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Boundaries at that point in time. There were times where like I would run to get milk and I'd be in the checkout line. I remember this clearly. And I started like rocking back and forth because the weight of the milk jug was perfectly.
I'm always swaying. And I'm like, Abby, you don't have to do, you don't have a baby in your hands. That's crazy.
Again, your entire nervous system is broken down, rebuilt. My wife did a project at the time about about butterflies, and apparently, like when the caterpillar or wherever builds its cocoon, the entire thing becomes mush inside of the cocoon.
No
like
way.
The entire creature liquefies and then reassembles and then becomes a butterfly. And like this was the transformative nature of the butterfly was her illustration for what had happened here the last 5 years of her life as a human being.
I want to have coffee with your wife.
she fantastic.
You know what? That's so like people call it like getting your pink back, because like when flamingos give birth, they turn white. And so they eventually get back pink, but it's like the baby drains all the life from them.
I've never heard that. This is great.
Yeah, so it's like, I feel like I'm slowly getting my pink back, but that makes it kind of sound like cutesy, but it's like, no, I was a liquefied insect like of guts and gore and goopiness, and now I'm trying to become a prettier insect. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
So good. Well, what else is on your mind?
Oh yeah, sorry, I have more questions. I have so many questions. I've only asked you like 2.
We're doing great.
Okay, I have a question about parenting, because you're like you're deeper into the parenting journey than I am.
Dude, I'm launching rockets now.
Wait, like you guys are doing a rocket project?
I've officially launched one kid to out of the house, and
Yeah.
he's in
Oh,
Michigan,
really?
and I'm presently trying to launch the other.
Oh, wait.
That's
So
where
how
I'm
old
at.
are your kids?
18 and 20.
Oh, they are launched. Okay, this makes more sense. So my question, again, my brain is mush. How does parenting, I'm wondering how parenting deepens like the good and the bad of your type. Like
Yeah,
what surprised you the most about how your instincts show up in parenting?
that's a good question. I don't think of all things, I would have thought that I would have been more perfectionistic, and it may be the case that that got beaten out of me real early. So as a one, my self-critical posture as a father can come out in my mental life for sure. The thing that has really been the place Enneagram shows up in our home is really understanding the priorities of our kids and our own priorities collectively has been real interesting.
What do
So,
you mean
for
by that?
example,
Oh, yeah.
like
Great example.
how we fight, the four of us, is super interesting. So, there's a 1, 3, and an 8. All of us, when we get stressed out, withdraw. And so we go into it, our withdrawn numbers. Like I go to 4, Kelly goes to 9, Augie, our oldest, goes into 5 space. So we take a big step back. And then the 5, the youngest, when he gets stressed out, he moves into 7 space. So all of a sudden, like the 1, 8, and 3 we're just loud and we're moving into the we're doing stuff, and then all of a sudden there's something breaks. We all get quiet, and the 7 in my 5 emerges. He's like, "Hey, we could do something else. It's fun," and
That must be
moves
so
us
weird. It's
all.
like, who is this stranger in my
It's
house?
it's exactly how it works. It's had just been quiet until something broke. So that naming that dynamic has been real interesting. Seeing, my kids are a 5 and an 8, so they share a line. So there's always a very special relationship with the friends that we have, relationships that we have that are on the line that they kind of get us. And so my youngest, who's the 5, is commonly a source of stability for my 8, who again neurodivergent, and just is a good resting place for them to see their the healthy side of their stress move. The thing with 1s and 5s was, so with me and my youngest, I'm thinking repressed, he's action repressed, and that dynamic makes us very complementary. And so our relationship ends up being real special to me based on that.
You feel like you fill in like the gaps where you guys fall short. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, so like I routinely, my parenting style is to get him into his body, but he challenges me to pause and think about things. And if I'm a good parent, I'll be asking him what he's thinking about and trying to keep up with him in those spaces, and that can be just substantive. So I'm naming just some of the dynamics, but I think you can do typing work with your kids around middle school.
You think so?
I think that would be that was the place that we started engaging the literature and doing, of all things, like the sorts of tests. And I'm very hesitant here, but the sort of tests that you see in books, like in The Road Back to You, what they are is more introspective questions at times, and they'll say, the way that The Road Back to You's testing section works, it's, do you feel like this, and do you do this, and do you do that? And those actually worked for middle schoolers. At the very least, don't feel like you need to land on a number. Just ask them the questions, of like talk about how you come to relationships, and the value that you place on your accomplishments, and do you care about what people think about you, and do you ever feel dumb, or whatever the testing questions might be. Just the questions themselves, outside of placing a number on a person, can be incredibly valuable. So just as you're in a car driving someplace, and that's what we found. We commonly, the four of us, really vacation well together. We travel well together, and that became when I was getting into Enneagram was right when they were in middle school. And so it became part of our conversations in the car, and it really worked. We all typed correctly, and it became a new vocabulary for us that was super helpful.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that would feel like to do that with your kid and like learn more, because they're becoming a person in front of your eyes, and then you're getting to know them even deeper using the Enneagram questions. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. What was interesting on this front, I've never shared this story, but I really thought my youngest was a 4, and I was ready for the dynamics of the 4-ness to come out, and he was insistent that he was a 5 and stuck to that, and that it's been really interesting because it's stuck, and so yeah, the self-awareness, at least for him, was really intriguing to see, but also gave him language for some of the things that we would go through, middle school, high school, and the rest. So
yeah, very cool. Well, I'm happy to know that, because I'm like, when do I start talking to? So also, my son's name is Augie too.
No.
Yeah, his name is August. Is that what yours is?
Yeah, we got an Augie. He's an Augustine.
Is Augustine?
I tried Augustine forever and it just never stuck. But Augie also hates the word, the name Augustine. So
all his cousins call him Augustine. His name is officially August, but they all call him Augustine.
That's fun. Yeah, we have an Augie, and it's just, especially the 8-ness comes out in it's Augie.
Yeah.
It's just who he is. So
yeah, well, so I'll when he hits middle school, I'll be like, hey, you want to answer some questions?
Yeah. Some of the, like I'd be curious in because you have background in Enneagram, just asking the introspective questions around the centers and around stance, or even around how do you connect with other people or solve problems. I think like late elementary school, middle school, you're going to find that your kids are very intelligent on these fronts and long to talk about themselves. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you're right, if I think back to middle school, I used to come home and watch Arthur the Aardvark. Do you remember that show?
I do.
So good. And I would really relate to all the problems. Like, I was like, this is my life. This is like my autobiography of all the problems Arthur was going through. And all of those are we could easily take an Arthur episode and relate it to the Enneagram and the problem solving and the way that each of the characters are, moving through the world.
Love that. Last question and wrap it up.
Okay. So another thing I like to talk about is burnout and the Enneagram.
Yeah.
As a 3, it's deeply personal to me. So I just want to ask, for you, what does burnout, like recovering from a burnout, look like actually for you? Like, are you trying to rest perfectly? You know what I mean? Like, what does that look like?
A lot of work being done on this in terms of what the high side of your stress move looks like. And actually, I heard a lot of it in your language when you were talking about getting present, and in your own story, moving into that 9 space. I assume that you're going to relate to this in terms of both of us are going to take that step back, and mine becomes very much a move into my emotions. So I move from 1 into 4 space, and so I'm getting into that withdrawn, self-assessing, get in touch with my heart. What's my identity? What's my unique contribution to the world? These are healthy questions for me to recover. And what I've seen in my wife and what I heard in your language as well is, the 3 getting off stage and moving into 9 space, getting control of your atmospheres, carving out your nook, saying this is my space in which I'm going to dwell. And I really want things to be static for a minute. I want them to be comfortable. That is a healing place for 3s to go. And that kind of logic, I think, really works for, especially for 1s, 3s, and 8s who are the most likely to burn out because they're so accomplishment oriented. And so the moving into a good relationship with your stress move, and really, and even finding people, like, I don't know if you have a 9s in your life who are very healthy people, but those sorts of voices can be incredibly valuable because they teach you how to be in 9 space.
I gravitate to the 9s
Yeah,
because
right?
they make me feel peaceful and calm and like enjoy, like we have the most fun. We do the most fun things together. Like even if it's just going for a walk, like,
Yeah.
and just chatting about life, like it feels so grounding.
Allow you to not feel like you have to perform as much, perhaps.
Yeah, and like I think 9s help me feel present too because they're so thoughtful and introspective, and which is usually something I run away from, of like, I'd rather not talk about that. But they do it in a way that's not aggressive or like scary, you know. It's just like, man, my friend Daniel is a 9, and just the way he's a very healthy 9, the way he approaches life is delightful, and everything's curiosity inducing, and he's just overflowing with like generosity of conversation and like interest. And he just, yeah, he's a really good example of what being present and like carving out that nook of like, he occupies his space and this is his space, and he is like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, it's really admirable because I, especially now with my nerves like frayed, I have trouble like keeping my own, not letting everything affect me and like kind of veer me off course of like a way of thinking, I need to do this. So like he's so grounded. It's really cool.
It's a great description. On the burnout side, and especially like when you go through seasons like you're going through, like the pausing and looking for what does a type like mine need for restoration, I think can be a great meditation. And I think you probably, as you're saying, you're gonna just find a lot of it in that 9 space. And so even giving yourself permission, and your 3 heart probably needs to hear this. It is successful for you to pause. It is actually you winning if you're able to quiet everything, get off stage, devote yourself to your own well-being, your own physical health, your own, just self-repair. That isn't a failure, you know. Those are the sorts. I know that's the sorts of messages that my wife wants me to tell her. Is it okay that I took a day off? It's of course to take tomorrow off. You know, like, what do you need to do?
Is it okay if I take a nap? That's a question I ask my husband.
Yes, it's and
or I'm
the
sorry,
answer,
I took a nap. He's like,
I'm sorry.
I don't care. It's okay. Take a nap.
And there's nothing wrong with asking that question, especially heart type. You need to have others speak over you
Yeah.
in those spaces. So that's a great good. It sounds like you got a good partner on that front.
Oh, he's the best.
To give,
He's the best.
give you permission to rest.
Yeah, he does it all the time. He's the best for husband ever. Yeah.
So good. Abby Howe, it's been a delight meeting you, talking with you.
Yeah.
You are moving from your fantastic YouTube work to Substack. You want to tell folks where they can connect with you here?
Yeah, in the meantime, I don't have time to make videos at the moment. I'm doing a lot more deep work on the Enneagram through Substack, and more like exploration on triads and subtypes and stuff like that on my Substack. And it's a fun, like, cool little community that we're building over there. So it's called Talk Enneagram to Me.
Wonderful.
And I also have a book coming out in March.
Tell you what, would you like to announce anything about said book?
Yeah. So I have a book coming out March 2026, and it's called My Enneagram, and it's a visual guide workbook to help you find your type and work through burnout is a huge focus of the book. Like rest, real restorative rest, and how you find that with your Enneagram type. And it looks at the growth arrows and the stress arrows, and it's, in my opinion, super fun and beautiful, and gives a lot of space for you to do your own work. There's like it's like a guided journal. Yeah, so
Wonderful.
that comes out in March.
Well, when that releases, we'll have to have you back on and elevate your new work.
I'll
So-
send you one, Joe.
Oh, please
Yeah,
do. I
give me
mean,
your address.
my mailbox is open for fantastic.
Yeah, just
Enneagram
one more
books.
book to add to your many books about the Enneagram.
I need more.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with compiling a library filled with my friends' work.
Yeah.
Abby, again, delight meeting you. Cheering for you, cheering for your new book, and cheering especially for your family during this time. So
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. This was really fun.